Hey everybody, welcome. We're letting folks come in before we get started. We have a couple of minutes here. We're right at the top of the hour, so thank you for joining us. We'll give folks another minute or two just to grab their coffee and come on in. So welcome. Happy to have you all here. We've got a great show for you. I'll mention it right now that the Q&A is open for questions. So as we go through the presentation, as Tim dives into the live demo, feel free to put your questions there. And if we can take him while he's in presentation mode, we will. But otherwise, we do have Q&A at the end of the webinar. So thanks again, everybody, for coming in. We'll just give it just another couple of seconds here, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome. All right, Tim, are you ready to go? We are just a minute after the hour.
When you say go, I'll start. Not
Okay, well,
until.
we've got the slides up. So let's go ahead and get rocking here. So welcome everybody. Good morning and super happy to have you all joining us today. I am Peg Tuttle and I am with Lightedge. I am a 5-year IBM champion, host of the
Woo.
incredible iShow, common board member. So thank you so much for being with us today. We have a great session planned. Today we're going to focus on IBM Bob. Tim's going to talk a little bit about the premium package for and give us a nice demo on practical AI that IBM developers can really wrap their arms around. And so as common president, one of the questions that I'm seeing or hearing a lot of right now is what does AI actually mean for IBM I? And so that's what we're going to tackle today. So, hey, everybody, welcome Tim Rowe from IBM. Tim, why don't you take a couple of seconds here and introduce yourself?
Oh, absolutely. I'm an STSM out of the IBM Development Lab. I own application modernization for our platform. One of the things that my team gets to work on is taking this great AI technology, IBM Bob, that has a fantastic general purpose AI development partner, and building in what our IBMI development community expects, making it centric and useful from that viewpoint. So we've been doing a lot of fun stuff there.
Yeah, I love that. I really, your background and your time at IBM, I'm sure you've seen a lot, and now you're really helping to shape the future of the AI development and really where it goes within the organization and outside of the organization. And we had Hillary Hunter on stage at Power Up, everybody, and Hillary was talking a lot about Bob inside IBM and the adoption inside IBM with Bob. And it's absolutely amazing. Also mentioned the fact that the IBM I platform has really embraced Bob going forward. So we're super happy to have you all here. So next slide, Tim. A quick agenda. We're going to be talking about Bob. We're going to be talking a little bit about why it matters, premium package, Bob in action, and then just having that real world discussion. So next slide, please. And for those of you who are not familiar with Lightedge, I just wanted to include a little bit of information here. We work closely with IBM. We are a lug member and a premium partner, but we really help customers focus on, running organizations that run IBM Power. We focus on modernization, security, working with customers around cybersecurity, disaster recovery, hybrid hybrid cloud. If you're interested in any of these things, let me know. We'd be happy to have a conversation and, just talk more about that. So thank you for that, Tim. We can move on if you like. All right, so let's talk a little bit about why this all matters. And Tim, feel free to join in because I'm sure that you are seeing these 6 talking points across the environment, the IBM Power environment, IBM AIX, and so just really understanding existing enterprise applications. So many organizations are running applications that have been enhanced or refined. They find incredible value in these applications. We have new developers that are joining the platform. They're coming in, they're eager to learn, they want to be a part of this, and it really does help to shorten up that onboarding time and improving productivity and modernization. So those organizations aren't standing still. We know this is it, everybody's forward thinking, moving, and modernizing those applications really are at the forefront of their strategy moving forward, building REST APIs, integrating new technology, trying to deliver more with less.
Oh, no,
Um,
no. We don't use less anymore. Less left last week.
he did.
Yeah, yeah, less is gone. So now we just have to do more.
Yeah, yeah, okay. And we've got Bob to help us. So,
See,
uh,
exactly.
and then, working inside real world code bases and, it's not just greenfield development. We are actually talking about understanding and working inside those large, complex environments that already exist and customers, continue to invest money in. Supporting that lean IT team. Most of our customers, and I know who you are, we all know who you are. You run a really tight ship with limited resources, and you are expected to continue to grow. At the same time. This last one, I think, is the one that really hits home. It's really the biggest challenge is that many organizations have decades of institutional knowledge that's built into, their applications, and the experienced developer is getting ready to retire. They're moving on. It's time. And so the organization is at risk of losing not only their people, but that sage knowledge that was built in as they grew up and created these applications. So, yeah, though, Tim, any comments before we move on?
Yeah, I think and you've hit on a couple of points. I just want to really kind of stress one other thing.
Yeah,
It's really a fundamental switch in who's your developer. I mean, if you look at, we've got companies that are running businesses today and they're running them very successfully. And
yep,
there's a couple factors. Who's the developer? The new developers have certain development expectations. And if you're still developing like 1988, you're not meeting those expectations. And
mhm,
so this preserving critical knowledge, being able to go forward, all these things become a real friction point. And many people don't get that you don't have to do it that way. IBMI, RPG, COBOL, you can do development in a modern manner and meet the expectations of those new developers without throwing out the bathwater and everything else that happens to be in the bathtub.
right.
You can do modern development. And Bob is exciting because all this modernization stuff that I've been preaching about for a good grief 15 years, it's now truly obtainable. So super excited about that.
Yeah, yeah, me too. And I think, when we talk about the excitement around Bob, it was present at Power Up. I mean, that's all everybody was talking about. That's all everybody was talking about at
Yep.
Think as well.
Yep.
So, yeah, absolutely. All right, let's move on. So, why is
Hi,
Bob
Bob.
different? Hi, Bob.
Yes.
I wish we had stickers that we could hand out to everybody here. But there are a lot of tools out there. There's a lot of noise. People are familiar with, ChatGPT, Copilot, Claude, all of those assistants. So I think the question that we want to ask today is, how useful is it inside that IBM environment? And so I want to go ahead and just hand this demo right off to Tim and let's get started. I want everybody to see what we're all so excited about.
Absolutely. So before I jump into a demo, I just want to touch on a couple of things
Oh,
that we've been doing, right? One of the things that we've been doing with Bob is a super fantastic tool for doing general software development lifecycle. We've already covered some of these things. Whether you're developers, business architects, it can do general purpose development. It can work in all the different languages you care about. But what my team's been doing, we've been trying to take Bob and moving Bob from general purpose to specific purpose. Let's make Bob win on IBM I. So some of the things that we've been working on something called the premium package. It's something that was just recently announced. It's going to GA June 24th. What the heck does that mean? What does it look like? First off, we've added some modes into Bob to give Bob basically a persona around things like development or database for not just general purpose, specific IBMI. So that Bob now understands what is OPM. Bob understands what is ILE. Being able to understand what a plan cache is and an MTI is, and being able to write code that's centric to our platform. Additionally, we've given Bob the ability to connect directly to an IBM I and provide piles of tools that allow Bob to actually run actions on the I. Okay, enough of the slides. So what does
perfect.
that all mean in practice? Right? So here I'm signed on to Bob. I've got my Bob here. Bob's over here rocking his head saying hi. I've got my First off, I've got my premium package installed. It is a extension for the Bob support. I've also got all of my code for I extensions in here, right? All the normal stuff that you'd expect, it all works in conjunction together. I've connected to an IBMI. I'm connected to, thank you, Peg, Common 7.6, where I have got a lovely application sitting out here. That's the old Flight 400 application where I've got different, you know, beautiful RPG programs that are sitting out there that are a mystery to most. So, you know, let's get started with a couple tasks just to kind of see what Bob can do. So let's just ask Bob some questions. I'm gonna first make certain that I connect to my library list. This gives Bob an extension, the ability to work directly with and take actions against this workspace, which is on the IBMI directly.
Hey Tim, Herman is asking if IBM or if Bob is installed on a local desktop or if it's in the cloud.
Yes.
There you go.
So let's go. Yeah, if you force me to go back to slides, fine. I can do that. So Bob is a VS Code. We forked VS Code. So you're going to install Bob on your PC. It includes VS Code. So you will no longer need a separate VS Code install. You can use Bob, which contains all of the stuff. You may ask, why did we do that? It's all about security, guardrails, IP protection. By doing this, we are able to ensure that we can keep your data, your applications, and your environment secure, that your IP stays your IP, etc. We are using secure connections to connect to your IBMI. We are using secure connections to connect to the large language models and the actual Bob runtime, which is in fact in the cloud. So there you go. That's the format and layout of how Bob is put together.
Nice. And then AJ
Okay.
was asking
Yep.
about, do I need to buy the Bob Premium package or just install it as a VS extension?
No, it's going to be a purchasable entity. So we talk about costs for things. You can purchase Bob either on the IBM website, or you can go purchase Bob from an IBM sales or business partner and get the enterprise support. There's two different ways to get it. Bob is also the premium package is also an additional cost. It's a very low cost. I believe it's $20 per month per user, so it's a fairly uh, low cost entity.
And there is a 30-day trial
Correct.
available.
And at GA, the premium package would also be part of that.
Okay,
All right.
good
Okay. We
questions.
get the questions done for a minute. So let's go back to our Bob thing. Let's see. I asked Bob to go do some stuff. Oh, he waiting to go read some stuff here. Bob, because of the nature of security, Bob is actually attempting to use tools and whatnot that are on the IBMI. It eventually first tried to read it one way, realized, oh, I can't do it that way because it's in QSys, not IFS. So let's go get that done properly. And now Bob is going off and is reading chunks of the program to get a full understanding of what this program is all about. And there we go. Bob has now created just a quick brief summary that's kind of explaining what's this, right? It's a flight order entry, has some input, price calculations, function keys, database, um, gives me some data flow. So it kind of gives me a general view of all the stuff that's part of this particular application. Can you use Bob for open source? Yes, absolutely. All right. So, but I'm not going to talk about that today because I'm talking about IBMI and native development. So we're going to stick to that one for this conversation. Um, let's take a look at some design. Let's see if Bob can create a design diagram. Do a design flow. So one of the more useful features is Bob is able to go take, read, digest all of this code and is incredibly good at then creating, a pictorial diagram on how this stuff all fits together. Um, this is where some of the power of Bob comes in. It gives you as a developer, whether you're looking at code that is in this, old fixed form RPG, or whether you've moved code forward into something that's a little bit more modern and pretty looking, right? All of that is stuff that, Bob is able to go ahead and read and understand quite nicely. So we'll picked a fairly large program for Bob to go digest over here. So I probably should have picked a smaller one because it takes a second for Bob to go through this. Okay, so we got an anonymous attendee. So don't want to say who you are. Yes.
I
Bob
did
uses
I did not type that.
Bob uses multiple LLMs, and it depends on its LLM agile, and that's intentional. So part of part of what Bob is trying to help you do is Bob is looking to help you focus on being a developer, not go chase the latest shiny thing in the AI space. The other factor, again, let's go back to slides. It's this guy right here. And by controlling the LLMs that are used, one, we can make certain that you're going to get the right answer. By adding these premium packages, we can build in additional information that can help ensure that your answers are correct, because we can give the LLMs the information they need, and we can ensure your IP stays your IP. If you're wandering out going LLM hunting and shopping, good luck. Have fun with that, but we can't, there's no guarantee that's you're going to keep your content and data secure. Okay, with Bob, can we do production support, reading QSys opera messages, handling failed jobs? So today our focus point is on the developer experience, not the operations experience. So while yes, I could in fact go do that because I could come over here and have Bob write me an SQL service to do what you just asked. We don't have anything built in for the operational experience today. All right, so Bob has created a program flow. Let's go ahead and let's see if he can go ahead and write this. Or okay, let me go ahead and click approve, and we'll get this written. Then we could maybe take a look at it. Gonna try to write it in a different place. So I have a Java background with knowledge of no knowledge at all of IBM RPG. Can I still run a workshop with a client with Bob attached to a demo in IBM environment? Well, yeah, you probably can, but you know, you probably need to learn a little bit.
Hey, Jim.
All right. So while we wait for Bob to go off and write this, let me just come up and take a look at one of my other documents that we've created so you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. So in this example, I've had Bob go and take an entire view of the entire Flight 400 application, where it gave me this system architecture overview, all the different layers of how it's put together. It gave me my entity relationship diagram. It gave me details on how the modules all fit together throughout this application. And Bob was able to do, I mean, this is 300 or 400 lines long because it's got not but lines, but objects. So it's got programs, it's got DDS, it's got logical files, physical files. Bob was able to digest, process all of this, and was able to then properly um, build all this information for you.
Mhm. And I think that's really important because as we know, it's really difficult to document, and document our applications. I think that's the number one thing that we hear about.
So this is a great question. Unlike Jim's question.
It's okay, Jim.
Does Bob remember my requests or save them? No. Again, go back into my slide, right? When I come in and get my little space up here in the IBM cloud for Bob to go off and do stuff, it's only going to remember stuff during my session. Once my session is done, right? Boop, boom, it's erased. It's gone. Any of that data that's out in the cloud is going to go away. Why? Because we want to make certain that that data stays your data. Now, there are ways to help Bob with that memory and understanding, and that's things exactly like what I've just created here, which is um, uh, creating some of these .md files. By creating these MD files, Bob is able to then quickly read those and to be able to understand what's going on. So Bob has gone ahead. It's written this program. If I go back over here to my IBMI and I come down here to my IFS, Bob actually took and wrote this document over here into my docs directory. So there is my uh, did he put it in docs, not doc? Sorry. There we go. There's my flow diagram. This is in the ugly view. If I switch over to the pretty view, you can see that Bob has gone and created this document. This document here is got information in it that Bob will then use as part of future work. so that Bob doesn't have to go digest all the information about this program. It'll be here inside this MD file. So that's one of the ways that you can do that. There are also other aspects that allow you to do some of those things. Okay, so let's take and put Bob to work here a little bit more. I've got this simple RPG program. Let's go ask Bob. Bob, let's modernize this. Now, in the world of AI, that's, officially a terrible AI prompt because I didn't give it any parameters. I didn't give it any context. I just went off and said, Bob, go do this. First things Bob's going to do is going to go read the program. As part of that process, it's also going to it's going to look for a physical file. It's going to go take a look at all the different aspects that are included in this program so that it can get the true understanding of the starting point. Once that's done, it's going to modernize it to create a full freeform RPG LE version of things. And you'll notice that this source is in the QRPG source physical file. It's going to write it into the QRPG LE source physical file because it's no longer an OPM program. It's now converted it to ILE. So we're going to go ahead and tell Bob to go off and do that. But you'll probably notice that Bob is going to fail. And that's because Bob needs to go create the member first, right? If you think about a source physical file member, you need to go, yep, add PFM. Great. I'm going to call the PFM command. Bob will go ahead and get that executed. There we go. It'll get it right this time. And off we go. Bob has properly called that. And now we have created the source member. And now we'll go ahead and have Bob write that to the source member. If we come up here to our QRPGLE source, let me just go click refresh on that. You'll see that, there it is. We now have migrated that successfully into freeform. Now the next thing, right, Bob is going to go validate the syntax and create a document. Okay, that's great. Oh, notice, what does it do to verify the syntax? Notice it's doing a compile. So right now, Bob is going to go off and compile the document. So we'll let Bob go off and work on that. Let's go. So let's got a question here. If I need to ask my admin, what do I need to tell them? Just get me a Bob license. You'll need the base Bob license as well as the premium package. All right, so Bob has gone off and is going to run the create bound RPG program. Woohoo! And it's going to, oh, not successful. Wow, let's go see. What did it uncover? Ah, the prototype needs to be declared before the procedure. Super. So Bob was able to go see the compile error, make the changes. Let's go ahead and get those up there. And off we go. Bob's applied the difference and Bob will go now recompile it. And oh, look at that. Bob is so much more happy now. We've got a compiled program. Life is happy. All right. So how many tokens does Bob use with a prompt like this? So all the stuff that I've been doing so far in this demo, I've used 2 Bob coins. So Bob is giving you each Bob coin, I forget how many tokens, there's a certain number of tokens that are used. There we go. So there's the token usage, which is equating to 2.26 Bob coins. at least for this particular demo. Your mileage may vary. All right, so now we've gone ahead and we have modernized this program and we've got it updated, etc. Okay. Oh, so Bob will be able to read DB2 data and tell us the source. So yeah, Bob can go ahead and read both DB2 and IFS. So all of that is definitely possible. So right now I'm actually in the database mode. I should have been doing all of this work in the developer mode. Um, but and that was one of the reasons that the modernization didn't quite work right the first time, because the developer mode would have caught that procedure stuff right off the get-go. But it still they cross over quite a bit, so there's definitely some synergy there. But let's go take a look at this data stuff. One of the things I'm going to do here, um, I've got a couple databases on Flight 400. So if I switch over here to my schema view, there's a database out here called Toy Store. And inside Toy Store, there's a whole bunch of different tables. So let's go get a entity relationship diagram. As opposed to doing it for the Flight 400 data, I'm going to do it for Toy Store. Now, what this is going to do, Toy Store is, stop it. Okay, let's go create a new task here and connect to that. Slash. Every once in a while, the back end likes to talk back. Just like your developer that's sitting down the way, they like to talk back too. So at this point, Bob is going to go call data in a system catalog. So he's going to go actually, there we go. Go look to see, find the valid schema. Look at that. Toy Store is a valid schema. It's got 19 tables. Now let's go gather additional information. So it's going to go query all those tables and query the columns, the constraints, the foreign key relationships. So all of this is SQL that Bob is running and executing on the IBMI to go get all of that information about this particular entity. So we'll go ahead and improve a few of these and let Bob go off and putter away. Does Bob send customer code to a third-party LLM? Bob is doing everything within the Bob environment, and it is using multiple LLMs. I definitely know it's not using anything from OpenAI. I don't know what LLMs it's using because, again, they are all going to meet the requirements of the enterprise security. And IBM has some very strict rules when it comes to what we can and can't do from an LLM perspective. Okay. Can you also explain the Bob coins are basically just like every LLM, it's usage based. The more stuff you send to the LLMs, to the back end, the more coins you're going to use. So there we go. We've had Bob go off and create a beautiful ERD diagram for Toy Store, where you can see I've got an employee and it's got connections into departments and projects and resumes and photos. And you can see how this stuff all fits together across the entire thing. And that was all done by actually validating and reading the data directly from IBMI. All right, so there are any code accuracy benchmarks? So first off, we don't do benchmarks. I'll tell you that right now. But what my team is doing is exactly what you're asking about. And the reason that we created the premium package was because the accuracy that we were seeing in the base Bob support for IBMI, while it was far better than some of the other AI tools that are on the marketplace, it wasn't what we wanted it to be or what I would say you should expect. So the premium package is one of those things where by providing the skills, workflows, tools that we have within this package, we are now able to get our accuracy up into, the 90-95% range or more. And what little things that we don't get correct the first time, that's okay. That's what we have compile for. And Bob can compile, read the compile, make the adjustments, and leverage the agentic loop process to get, like we just showed you in that last demo of modernizing that one particular program. Okay. Hemet has another question. What if a session gets disconnected by accident? Oh, it's easy. If you get disconnected, you have to sign back in again. So that one's easy. I didn't show you the sign-in process, but nonetheless, that's all that happens. All right. So that's a quick demo. Peg, anything you want me to take a look at and do here?
I guess one of the things that I was thinking about, Tim, is the fact that you are, very connected in our space. And I'm wondering if you have a couple of stories of success stories that you could share with the users, the folks that are on this call and those who are going to watch the demo later, that would speak to why get started with Bob? This is the benefit you're going to see. Here's what XYZ company did. And maybe you've got something you could share in that,
Oh,
a success story.
yeah, that's a great one. So one of the things that we've had one of our healthcare companies, they've been working with us for quite a while with some of the very early data beta programs. They let's go here to a green screen. Let's just start with that. So, okay, why didn't that preview? Let me go to a different one. Preview. Well, apparently my preview is not playing nicely today in my VS Code. That's a VS Code issue. Oh, but okay. Yeah, there we
Here we
go.
go.
Yeah, I got one that came up. So say I have a field here, right? I have a flight number field. My flight number field is a particular length. Okay. Well, what if they want to change the length of flight numbers? So you need to do a field level expansion, right? So
Yeah.
if I need to do field expansion, that can be a pretty significant change, especially for something like, I'm in an airline reservation system. So I would imagine the flight number is something that is going to be pervasive throughout all aspects of this program. It's going to be in display files. It's going to be in the logical, the physical files, and in the code.
Mhm.
So is that a simple task or a difficult task, right? I mean, in theory, going from 7 characters to 20 characters, it sounds pretty trivial as long as you can find all the right places and get them updated. Well,
Right.
one of our healthcare customers had that exact case, except their program was 37,000 lines long. It
Oh
was
my
one of these
gosh.
massive monolithic programs. Beautiful thing. They dove in with Bob to go do that exact process and did it incredibly successfully and quite quickly, being able to take and move a key field from small to large and catch all the different places. So really quite amazing. Let me go. What percentage usage utilizes the Bob of the system resources? So first off, on the IBM Bob doesn't use any unless you ask it to run a request on the I. So for example, a compile. Yep, I'm using IBM system resources. That's the exact same amount of resources that you would use if you're doing normal development outside of Bob. So it's a net on that. The AI component, oh, that's running in IBM Cloud, so there's no system resources. That's all covered through the Bob coins. And then beyond that, it's my VS Code running on my PC. So again, the same as what you would have if you're doing normal VS Code development. Okay,
Oh,
sorry if you
there.
already talked about this. Question, can I upload a RPG compile listing with errors into Bob and have Bob help me debug the compile issues? Oh, I just showed you that exact example. So yes, so you can actually have Bob drive the compile. And the cool part is if you don't necessarily even need to have to upload the compile listing. Bob can reach out to the IBMI and read it there. And then, as opposed to reading the entire compile listing, which may have hundreds and hundreds of lines of useless information, when we're really only after the 2 or 3 error information, we will extract out that error information. And that's the only piece that the LLM will take and use so that we're saving you tokens in this process. If you want to send the whole compile listing up, yeah, feel free, go right ahead. You're just going to use more tokens using it that particular methodology. But absolutely, that's something that Bob is quite adept at doing. One of the other things, just to follow on with that, another example of one of our customers, they had job log that had a bug in it. They sent Bob the job log and the access to the code and said, "Hey, Bob, give me an idea where this is failing."
Mhm,
And Bob was able to do that.
mhm. I just think about like the sheer time savings, especially when you're talking about the healthcare company who is trying to extend, that field. And I mean, that's months and
So,
months
so
of
no,
work.
keep going. They
Yeah,
they they figured it was about a year and a half project, and
yeah,
they were able to do it in a matter of 6 or 8 weeks. Now,
yeah.
the change itself was probably done in a couple of days,
Hmm.
but you still have to go through the rest of your development process. And that's
Yep,
one thing we just got to stress with people. AI is not magic. AI is a development tool, but you still need to do proper code reviews.
yep.
Bob can help with those reviews, but you still need to do proper code reviews. Oh, and then there's the 4 letter word, test. Yeah, forgot about that one. No developer likes to do testing, but nonetheless,
Or
that's-
document.
yeah, okay, yeah, but documents actually more than 4 letters.
I
Uh,
know.
but those are key parts, and that's what's going to now. Yes, Bob can help with creating test cases for some of these things.
Hmm.
Um, but again, you still need to go through and do those activities,
Yeah,
make
yeah.
that part of your process.
Absolutely. Change management is important.
Oh,
Absolutely.
okay. Um, Hemet just talked about change management in his question. I didn't
Hmm.
talk about change management. I was talking about development practices, which is review and test. If you want to talk change management, that's more source control as well as then the build and deployment process.
Right.
So
But
Bob,
still can be a part of Bob.
uh, no, so first off, Bob today doesn't include any change management capabilities.
Okay.
But it does, because it's VS Code, it has native connections to Git already built in. So if you have your source code in Git, whoop, life is happy. You
Great.
can go and you can clone your branch, you can do pull requests, blah, blah, blah. You can create an agent to have Bob do the interactions with your Git repo. It's so cool. But if you're doing stuff like I'm showing here, I'm in a source physical file. That's not Git. That's going to be your check-in, check-out process.
Hmm.
Now, if you're using a older tool that does check-in, check-out, some of the vendors have already created plugins for VS Code
Or,
and Bob that will
oh,
allow you to check in, check out code through
nice.
this interface.
Nice. Okay.
But that's going to be more on the vendor to do that versus
Exactly. Exactly. And there's plenty of vendors out there with AI initiatives that are happening right now. Okay, so is there like a I think about customers that are still running System 36 code.
beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
I know. Is there a
So,
limit on how far back we can go to bring it
so
forward and modernize it?
one of the things that we did is we created workflows. Workflows are intended to be a uh, a more complicated or complex process. So when I did the modernization demo that I just showed you, I didn't use the workflow because I knew where I was starting and I knew where I needed to go, and it was a pretty simple process.
Hmm.
If if you think about where you the different aspects of what can be included in an RPG program, System 36, right? I have the
Hmm.
cycle. I have OPM. I have iSpecs. I have OSpecs. I have subroutines. I have FSpecs. All of these things need to be, I have go-to statements. Blah. I have indicators that are random. All of these things need to be and should be dealt with.
Yeah.
And so the workflow is intended to review that program to figure out what's my starting point and what aspects of the modernization process should I apply to get me to a modern RPG program. So if I have the System 36, I have the cycle, we've built a skill in that says, oh, hey, this is the cycle. Here's how I remove it from the conversation. Here's an
Excellent.
iSpec. How do I get rid of the iSpec because those aren't supported in modern RPG, right? So those are the things that we've built into the workflow that kind of help with that whole processing, which is pretty cool.
Hmm. What has the adoption been for Bob? I mean, of the people that you've talked to, are we seeing, as I mentioned when we first started the call, we know that in the IBM I community and IBM Power, that IBM I users have been super fast adopters. Is that what you're seeing, or is it
Oh,
blowing your mind? Because
it,
it's like,
it's been totally crazy. Um, there's a ton of interest for sure.
Mhm.
We've actually seen even without the premium package out in the
Yeah.
market until June 24, we've seen a significant uptick in adoption of Bob, and people are starting to get familiar with it, and then just can't wait. Once they get the premium package, then they'll have the whole solution. And then the interest. I've been doing sessions like this pretty much two or three, four or five a day.
Hmm. Yeah. And Tim, you have 5 today. How about that?
Yeah,
And we're
something
so happy
crazy
you're
like
here with
that.
us. Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful. Any other questions from our listeners here? Well, we've got Tim. We got a couple of minutes left.
I only got about 5 more minutes, and I'm going to have to swing
Jump.
off to the
Yeah.
next thing.
Okay, anonymous. Where do you see Bob having the biggest impact over the next 12 to 24 months? That's
Yeah,
excellent.
that one's super easy. Giving our community a clue. I mean, if you think about your code base, I've got a code base with thousands, millions of lines of code, and how well do you actually understand it?
Hmm.
For most people, the answer is minimal to not at all, and their documentation is minimal to non-existent. And when I hire somebody in new, what are they supposed to do? This is where Bob can come in, and even this old code that I'm looking at here that is, I mean, I own the RPG compiler, and I confess that I can't read this crap. If I want to read this code, if I want to go read this stuff, I need to convert it to something that's actually readable
Hmm.
in a modern manner.
Yeah. And have
And
you, I'm
Stefan,
sorry.
the answer to that question is absolutely yes.
Yes. I love that. And so have you, let's just talk about that IT expert developer that's coming out of college today. Have you had a lot of interaction with them in Bob,
Oh
or
yeah.
we know that VS Code is really helping to bridge that gap, get some talented skills coming in. I know Todd Stewart over at Heartland Co-op talks about this all the time. He just hired, 4 or 5 new developers right out of college, and VS Code really helped level the playing field. And, they were able to go in and learn RPG without even
Without
knowing
being their
RPG.
hand, yep, correct, which is
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. And be able to, jump in on Bob. You got a couple of questions here. Hold on. Tim is answering. Okay. Does Bob know SQL procedures?
Yes.
Yes. Can you explain the coin usage again?
It,
The pro
it's
subscription is
it,
40
it's
coins
all
per month.
about what do I send to the LLM? So how much data gets processed by the LLM? It's usage based. So if I have a program that's 1,000 lines long, it's going to cost me more Bob coin than, something that's smaller. This ERD diagram that I created, most of the work was done on the IBM I with SQL. And so it took me a half a Bob coin to actually go create the document and assemble this and get all the relationships. So it was pretty minimal the amount of work there because of how that was done. So it just depends on your usage. Now,
Hmm.
40 Bob coins is a pretty small amount of coins. We figure the average developer is going to be using between 160 and 200 a month.
A month.
It's
Okay.
going to be more along the lines.
Okay. Okay. And there are, when you do the subscription model, there are various different levels.
So the
Huh?
subscription model, if you go with the enterprise plan, there's value over that. If I go with the individual plan, so if I get the pro plan, I get 160 coins. Those are use it or lose it, just like those old cell phone plans. If you have per month, so every month, what if I have coins left over, they're gone, I get a new allotment.
Hmm.
The enterprise plans, it's going to be $20 per month per developer, and then you buy a pack of coins. So if I have 10 developers and I buy 5,000 coins,
Hmm.
those are going to be good for the life of my subscription, typically a year. And now I get to share my coins across the entire development team. So one developer may use 500, one might use 50, one might use 200. And you get to administer those coin usages across that team. So it's going to give you a much better usage rate.
Yep. And Shalomi, hey Shalomi, he has a question out here.
Yep. So I would recommend any of the documentation you create get put into your source code repository, whether that's going to be, on IBMI in an IFS directory, if it's going to be in your Git repo, whatever the case may be, get it in a get it as part of your source control repository. Make it accessible so that when you use tools like Bob has easy access to that information. Because if Bob has easy access to that information, then Bob can use it without having to go reinvent it every time you look at a program. So if I have a design document for program 5 here, for instance, right? That's not a program, that's a display file. Oh, let's go look here down at, oh, yeah, program 5, right? If I go look at program 5, I if I've created a design doc for this, Bob doesn't have to go read the program and assemble the information because it's already in the MD file. And Bob can read that very quickly with using very little coins.
Excellent. Nice.
Okay.
Nice. Well, all right. We should wrap this up. Anything
Last
else?
slide I want to leave you with.
Yes.
If you want more information, go to bob.ibm.com and you too can get access to the code, more information. If you aren't tired of hearing me yet, no worries. You can go out to the YouTube channel. We have a Bob YouTube channel. And yes, I have videos out there so you can fall asleep to me at night.
Nice.
Great times, huh?
Oh my gosh. I love it. And you know what, when I'll work with Luke when we get the email sent out with the recording for this presentation, we'll make sure to have the links in there as well. So, oh, one more. Is there a report I can get what Bob
Isn't
access?
that part of
Okay.
your source control management process? If it's in Git, it's all there. So I would make that part of your source control management process because Bob is only accessing what you give it permission to access.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Tim,
Absolutely.
so much for being here and being a part of our Lightedge demo today. We really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for sticking around with us and being a part of this presentation. Your questions were amazing. We're so happy that you were here. I do want to give a quick plug for the Incredible Eye Show, my podcast. Tim and I will be recording later this week, the premium package information. So I'll launch that on the 24th. So you can tune into that and see more of that information coming up here at the end of the month. So thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. We loved having you here. Thanks again, Tim. It's a great
My
day.
pleasure. Have a
Have a
great
good
day.
afternoon, everybody.
Bye.